Hi, it's Hannes, and I'd like to give a feedback. A year ago, I took on a challenge where I invested 100 Rand. That 100 Rand at the moment is 3.8 million Rand. We call it the 500k Challenge, and if you want to follow this challenge, please make sure to subscribe to this channel, specifically this playlist, and then perhaps go back to the first video that I've made where I took on the 500k Challenge. So the initial challenge was to take 100 Rand, turn it into 500,000, so that I could start with this challenge, comparing our growth with two experts here in South Africa, where one expert says no, invest globally, and the other expert says locally. And I've said that on a regular basis, I'm going to give you feedback, and on top of that, I'm going to give you training. So today, the training part is going to be the 2 steps that you need to take in order to turn 100 into millions. And maybe by not taking these steps, why is it that the majority of people will never ever be able to do something like this? So if you're new to this channel, first of all, welcome. I'm Hannes Dreyer. I'm the founder of the Wealth Creators Method, where we help entrepreneurs and investors to create, to grow, and to protect their wealth by applying the Wealth Creator Strategy. And the Wealth Creator Strategy is basically to minimize risk, to optimize growth, by understanding and applying the 4 high-value skill sets that you need to get in order to get this kind of growth. Okay, so where we are today, we've started in dollars because one of the experts are comparing that in dollars, and they say that because of the exchange rate between dollars and rands, that is not going to be in your favor. So we started with $6.52. So on the 1st of November, we were at $209,115. If you take the exchange rate, by the way, the $6.52, when we started this challenge, was exactly 100 Rand. That's why I'm working on 100 Rands, because I'm in South Africa. So at the moment, the exchange rate, on the 1st of November at least, it was 18 Rands 26 cents for $1. And that means the value of that portfolio at the moment, by applying the Wealth Creator Strategies, a little bit more than 3.8 million. Now, of course, this can fluctuate from a moment to moment, but it's to give you an idea. I tried to find what the other 2 gentlemen were doing. There's no video, and therefore I did a search, and the closest that I could get is that I think that Pete at the moment is about at 8.9%. And if you take 8.9%, it means that 500,000 that he invested should be worth in the vicinity of 544,000. Now, I could not find anything from Magnus, so I'm not sure what he's doing, but I suspect that he's not really performing that well. So if you compare the 544,000 that started off at 500, it's 44,000 growth. If you started the Wealth Creator Strategy with 100 Rand, that is 3.8 million, it means it's 3.7 million growth. And this is why I call this the most powerful strategy, investment strategy in the world. And I'd like to use this opportunity to help you in order to get a better understanding so that you can make informed decisions when it comes to your own money. Right, so here's a question. Why will most people never be able to do something like this and outperform the best fund managers, where they can take literally 100 Rand or 50 Rand or a Rand and convert that into millions, right? Without taking risk, because the risk is the 100 Rand or the 1 Rand that you invest. That's the risk. It is simply because they don't understand the basics. Now, I know that you're going to say, Hannes, but you're not a financial planner, you haven't got all these fancy financial degrees and stuff like that. How the hell can you say this? You see, underlining when it comes to investment, what is a wealth creator? Wealth is not what you think it is. Wealth is the core word, the root word of wealth, W-E-A-L, simply means well-being. So wealth is to have well-beingness in all 7 areas of life. Now, the financial part is only one part. But to have well-being, we need to become successful at being wealth creators or at being human beings. So success is 95% mindset and only 5% strategy. But here comes the main point, or one of the main points. There's only 2 strategies in this world. The one is called the opportunity seeking strategy, and the one is called the wealth creator strategy. So let's start, what's the difference between the two? Because if you've got the strategy wrong, you can have all the right mindsets. You will not be able to get 100 Rand to turn into millions. It is impossible. So, and it's for this reason that I showed the strategy first. So although we should start with a mindset, if you apply the right mindsets to the wrong strategy, there is no ways, my friend, that you'll be able to get this kind of outcome. Okay, so 2 strategies. What is a wealth creator strategy? If I can give you a very quick definition, it's the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. But what is risk? Risk is when you do not know what you're doing. It's not what these people are telling you in terms of volatility and stuff like that. It's got to do with if you do not know what you're doing. So how do you offset risk? Very simple. You gain the skills, the competencies to be able to do it. So none of these skills are taught anywhere. Why not? Because the moment that you understand how powerful the strategy is and you start to apply the strategy with the right mindset, you're going to get the same outcome. And then you don't need these people. So let's make it easier in terms of what is a wealth creator. A wealth creator is basically a person that is willing to take the responsibility to learn the skills to offset risk and to get better growth. But he or she, that wealth creator, is not going to take their money and give it to someone else, right? Now, what's an opportunity seeker? It's exactly the opposite. It can be very clever people that are opportunity seekers, but how does it operate? You see, an opportunity seeker, when it comes to their investments, will not take the responsibilities to learn the skills to do it themselves. And therefore, they've got no control over the risk, and they've got no control over the growth. And they're going to believe the financial experts in telling them what to do and how to do it. Now, the experts cannot lose anything. If Magnus is down or Piet is down or any expert is down, it's tough luck for you. But the moment that you take control, then at least I know maybe I haven't got the skill set, or maybe there's a better skill set that I can learn in order to do this and get the kind of growth that I need. Okay, so that's the main difference. If we can say the difference is the one is prepared to take responsibility to learn the skills, and the other one is not. Unfortunately, these skills are not being taught in the educational system, the financial system, nowhere in the world. But you can follow the right strategy and still get bad results. Why? Because of the mindset. Because the mindset is the underlining, I can almost say, energetic currency or vibration that is going to determine if you're going to be successful or not when it comes to investment. So today I'd like to get a little bit deeper into mindsets. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of the mind that he may acquire anything he wants, or of course the equivalent, without violating the rights of other people. This, my friend, is powerful stuff. And the moment that we understand this, in other words, it's got nothing to do with your degrees or how high your IQ is how you know to use your mindset, right? And what is the mindset? And what can we do with this thing that our Creator gave us at birth, before birth? It is an incredible tool, but no one has learned this because no one is going to teach this to you. So let me ask you a question. We're talking about mindsets, but what is the mind? How does the mind look and how does the mind operate? I think the chances are very slim that you'll be able to answer that. We talk about stuff, but we don't know this. So when I started my journey, that was one of the first things that I wanted to know. What is this mindset and how does it work? So I think it was about in 1934, 37, this gentleman, Dr. Thurman Fleet, came up with a diagram, and I'm going to use this. And by the way, Bob Proctor also uses this to explain certain things, and if you haven't listened to him, please make sure to do so. He died a couple of years ago, but his teachings are absolutely wonderful when it comes to explaining certain concepts of the mind. So this doctor came up with this little diagram. You can see there's a huge big circle, that is the mind, and the mind actually has got two parts. There's a conscious mind, and then there's the subconscious mind. And then you see this little circle at the bottom, that's the body. In other words, the neck and the body, you can see the arms and the legs there. Now, how does this operate? The only way that we can get information is through little antennae that we've got. In other words, everything is energy. So those energetic vibrations, we've got the tools within our mind, within our brain actually, to interpret these. So what we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. There's no other ways that we can communicate with our environment. And we need to get this if you want to turn 100 Rand into millions in a year or less than that. So please stay focused and stay with me, because otherwise you're going to lose it. Now, this may sound like, a lot of nonsense, but stick with me and then make an informed decision at the end of the day, because I guarantee you that this can and will change your life the moment that you get it. So we've got a conscious mind, a subconscious mind. Now, every single thing that happens is a positive or a negative, and that is going to depend on a couple of things. So let's take, there's a thought coming in. That thought, we can say, is a power. That power, the force, can be either negative or positive. That thought enters into the thinking mind. Now, as soon as that gets into your thinking mind, you've got two options. Either you can reject it or you can accept it. But you can do it, but most people don't know that they've got the ability, because they don't know how to use the higher faculties of the mind, because no one taught that to us. So your thoughts then becomes feelings. And everything that gets into the subconscious mind must be accepted. Right? So as soon as it's a feeling, that feeling turns into what we call an emotional, into a vibration, and that vibration is felt within our body. And that is going to lead us to take action, and the action that we're going to take is going to give us the results. So if we can summarize this, what we think, feel, and act is going to give us the results. And that determines, or that is being expressed as our attitude, our investment attitude. But at the same time, that can be either positive or negative, depending on the feeling, the vibration that we've got. In other words, our subconscious mind plays a far bigger role than our thinking mind when it comes to our investment success. For that reason, you can have all the knowledge when it comes to the right strategy, but you still can make a boo-boo out of that investment, simply because if your mindset does not line up with the right strategy and you've got a negative attitude, the best strategy in the world will never ever work for you. And this is where I find that most people simply don't get it. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the thinking mind. The thinking mind is also called the educated mind. But now I immediately want to bring you back to the strategy, because there are two strategies. So if you've got an educated mind and you've got a BCom degree and then a MBA after that, and a CA, and you've got your master's and your PhD, and you've got all these qualifications, you're an economist and you know everything about the economy and the world's economy and micro and macro economy, you've got a serious educated mind. But that educated mind is based on the opportunity-seeking strategy. Then, my friend, you can do whatever you want. You can have 100% the right attitude, but you will not be successful. So please bear in mind that it's not to say that just because a person is educated or he's got a high intellect that he's going to be successful financially. And just look at the professors at universities that is teaching this stuff, and go and have a look for yourself to see how successful financially they really are. So the intellect plays no role except there's 6 higher faculties I'm not going to go into this in this video, and if you want me to go into that, please let me know, maybe in the comment section. But the intellect has got nothing to do with your IQ. It's got to do with the 6 higher faculties and how you can use this in relation to this little diagram that I'm busy showing you. So the thinking mind has got the ability to choose. This is a gift that our Creator, our God, gave us. Every single thought that comes through the conscious mind, there's a fraction of a second where if you're aware of this process and if you're in control of yourself, in other words, of your mind, because the mind is not you, then you can either say, I'm going to reject it or I'm going to accept it. Now, here's a problem. If you don't reject that, it automatically will filter through to the subconscious mind. So you've got the ability as a human being to accept, reject. But then you've got another, let's call it gift, and that is the gift to originate. And this is where a wealth creator comes from. In other words, originate is to create. That is the reason why we can take no money and convert it into millions, or 100 rand and grow it into millions. That is because we know how to use the thinking mind, and this is what I'm teaching my students through the Wealth Creators Method, because there's a method that you have to follow, a recipe, a formula that you can follow to turn this into a science. And a science is when you do certain things in a certain way to get a certain outcome, you know, and you can predict beforehand. Like I've said, I'm going to turn the 100 rand into 500,000 within the first year and then to the 20 million. I've done this so many times, and my students will be able to vouch for me in terms of that it's unreal. But it's a science that we are following, and we use the thinking mind. Now, let's have a look at the emotional mind. You see, the problem with the emotional mind is if something comes into your conscious mind, in other words, in the thinking mind, and you do nothing about it, it's going to filter through to the subconscious. It hasn't got a choice, because the subconscious must accept whatever is coming through the conscious mind, the thinking mind. So the thinking mind is like the CEO. It decides what to do, what strings to pull, what is right, what is wrong. But if you don't pay attention, then it becomes part of your makeup in terms of the subconscious. And the subconscious is 100 times bigger than the conscious mind. So the subconscious mind cannot reject, because it's not a thinking mind. It cannot reject information. So if it's false information or bad information, that's why there's a positive and a negative. It can't decide to reject or not to reject. That's a function of the thinking mind. If you are thinking, and most people do not think, because we think there's mind clutter going on in our minds, and therefore we think that we know and that we are thinking, but you're not thinking because you're not using the higher faculties of the mind. The subconscious mind, the emotional mind, cannot determine the difference between that is real or that is imagined. Very important, and this is where mind controls happen. So there's a process that these global elites are following in order to control our minds. The financial system is busy with a mind control in order to enslave us and to keep us poor, basically enslaved to the system in the rat race for the rest of our lives. But because we never thought, that is why the definition of a wealth creator is the intelligent use. The intelligent use means that you have to use the intelligence that you've got, the higher faculties, the 6 higher faculties. If you're not using that, you are not thinking, and you are not engaged your thinking mind in the process. So it's the intelligent use, and intelligent and IQ has got nothing to do with each other. Right, so just make sure that you understand this. Now, let's take this one step further. Einstein basically says that everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Okay? So all these little vibrations, what you see here, feel, taste, and smell, all of that is just energy. So all you have to do is to match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. And this is what I'm teaching in the Wealth Creators Method. And by the way, if you attend any of my master classes, one of the books that I'm going to give you for free will be the PowerGoal book. In other words, how do you set that frequency so that you can tap into that frequency in the right way. Because people are going to tell you about goal setting, smart goals. It's not working, my friend. You have to set a power goal. And that is the reason why I'm doing this during the webinars, is for you to understand your greatness and what you can and what you can't do. So Einstein carries on and says, there can be no other way. This is not philosophy, my friend. This is physics. And physics is a sign. It is if you do certain things in a certain way, you're going to get a certain outcome. And the laws that govern your mind, in other words, this thinking mind that you've got and the subconscious mind, there are 7 laws that most people do not understand, or principles. And these principles are always working. And it's the way that you set yourself up in this law, right, in this principle, that's going to give you the outcome of having a life of abundance or having a life of suffering. And unfortunately, because people are in a state of conforculation where they do not know that they don't know what they're supposed to know, most people are in the rat race, right? By far the majority of people, and I think that you'll at least agree with me on that. So, who are you today and where are you if we use this little diagram? You've got the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the body, and then everything that is happening around you can only enter through what you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. The conscious mind, you've got the ability to either reject it. If you don't reject it, it becomes part of your subconscious mind. The social media, like Facebook and Twitter and all of those stuff, will have a direct effect, and therefore you have to guard your mind. But all the other people might do that as well, right? They may say, money doesn't grow on a tree, or this is impossible, it can't be done. Well, my friend, if that is the truth, you've got the ability to decide if it's true or not, and therefore you can reject, or otherwise you're going to accept that. And then also the news and the Netflix and so forth. Now, what if I'm telling you that social media and the Netflix and the TV and all of the media that you're going to find out there is focused to keep you poor, by keeping you enslaved, and they are controlled by exactly the same people. Now, most people are going to say, this is conspiracy, but I can prove that to you. And if you follow me through my Wealth Creators method, you're going to see that I can prove to you that we are being mind controlled by these people to keep us enslaved. So let's take this. So the moment that we've got this ability to think, so the thinking mind is we can accept or reject it. If you reject an idea where a person may come to you and say, listen, it is not possible to turn 100 Rand into millions. The moment that you reject that, it means that now you're open to start using the higher faculties of the mind in order to verify and to validate that if one person can do it, why can't you do it? Right? So if someone else can do it, and I've got thousands, literally thousands of other people, business owners, investors that started with absolutely nothing. The majority of serious successful people started with nothing. Why can they do it and we can't do it? First of all, I need to reject that idea, because otherwise that idea is going to become me. I'm going to resonate at that level, and therefore I'm going to get poor results. Right. Now, why is that? Why is it that something so simple becomes so complicated? You see, it all started before we were born. I hope that you can see that the thinking mind wasn't developed at that point in time, before birth, while you were in the womb, or the first couple of years of your life. The scientists and the clever people say the first 7 years. You see, there's no thinking mind that can reject any information. So everything that your parents are saying, you're picking the energetic vibration in the beginning because you did not understand language. But also the social media is on nowadays in each and every household the whole time. And people react to that on an energetic vibration. When you hear the bad news, your body reflects that, the vibration, and immediately your household starts to feel that. The same when you start reading the news and the Netflix, that are all controlled by these people in order to get you in a negative state of vibration. I hope that you're with me. Now, as soon as that starts to happen, you start to form what we call a paradigm. So everyone has got like an investment paradigm, but that investment paradigm is actually made up of hundreds and thousands of little programs or belief systems that is running, right, in the subconscious mind. So all of this, as you can see, is in the subconscious mind. And as soon as that is in your subconscious mind, you've got a serious problem, and I've got a serious problem, because now we have to start to work in order to get out of this paradigm, right? Because that paradigm becomes our ego and our comfort zone. And we do not want to step out of our comfort zone, because our comfort zone is easy. It's easier to give your money to someone else and to believe them than to take the responsibility to learn the skills in order to get the growth that you need to do. Now, this is for more my advanced students, but when you look at that paradigm, there's a certain part in the brain, we call it the reticular activated system. That is the screen, that is the paradigm that I'm referring to. And that screen distort, delete, and generalize information, that red section there, to line up with your current belief systems or your current paradigm. So you are going to twist information without you knowing it, so that it lines up with that you believe. And that's going to give you the results. Now, it's actually very simple, and that is why I'm going to give you the Quantum Awakening crash course when you join any of my master classes for free, simply to show you that we can reverse engineer this. In other words, if you're not getting the results, you simply reverse engineer the process and you change it. But before you can change, you need to become aware of it. So as we've got this paradigm. Now, what is a paradigm? A paradigm is a mental program that has almost, and I say almost, exclusive control over our habitual behavior. In other words, the way that we act. So if we go back to this, the way that we act are going to give us the result. And when we look at that little diagram, in terms of the body, the way that we are going to react to certain things or act towards certain things is going to give us the result. Now we've got the paradigm, we bring the paradigm over to our grown-up stage. And suddenly we think, but we're not thinking, because everything that happens in the external world, because we do not pay attention and we do not reject the negativity, directly comes in the paradigm, confirms the paradigm, enforces and reinforces the paradigm, and therefore it becomes more and more difficult for us to change. So let me give you a practical example. And I've seen this so many times in my life, where a person that is very intellectual, in other words, they've got all these degrees, they cannot identify themselves without sometimes the degree. If you ask a person, who are you, or what is it that you do, they will tell you, I'm an engineer, I'm a medical practitioner, I'm a CA, I'm a financial planner. Because that becomes their identity, because that's their paradigm, that's their belief system. So that then, because it's their paradigm, is going to keep them through their actions to get certain results. Now, let's make this, let's call it more practical. And let me ask you a question. How is it possible that a person that has got immense and incredible intellect and is really educated, all the thinking mind stuff, how is it possible that that person goes through life? They are in very senior positions, management positions, senior management, managing directors, CEOs, and stuff like that. And then 30 years down the line, those people are still and do still have a mortgage, a bond here in South Africa that they have to pay. 30 years, they're getting all this money, and 30 years later, they still have got a mortgage. Most of those people still have a lease on their car, or a rental on their car, or a HP on their car. Explain that to me. How is it possible that you can work for 30 years as a senior position with this massive intellect, and those people still have all the debt? I hope that you can see how powerful this that I'm busy giving you really is, on condition that you are prepared to study this, to learn this, and to apply this in your life. So I'd like to give you today a process that I guarantee you that if you follow this, you can make all your dreams come true. In other words, turn 100 Rand into more than 3.8 million in a year. But you have to do it. I'm not going to do it for you. No one can do it for you. So the process is decide what kind of life is it that you actually want. We call that the PowerGoal Process. In other words, this is a very, very short summary of something that we dive very deep into in the Wealth Creators Method mentoring. The first 13 weeks we dedicate only to the mindsets, because without that mindset, that is going to determine 95% of your success. The rest is not going to be possible. So the moment that you identify that and the frequency that you need to vibrate on, then all you have to do is, because you are in control of your thinking mind, and we're going to teach you how to do that if you are interested, is to say no to everything that isn't that. In other words, if it's not resonating at that level, you simply ignore it. And by the way, there's a clear-cut scientific way to determine if this thing is going to help you and benefit you or not. Every single thought that enters into your mind, but I hope that you see, is going to take work. So it all starts with, what do you want? But you have to identify that and go through the process. If you really, really, really are desperate to get something, you really want this, why is it that you're not getting it? Very simple, because of your paradigms. And the more stronger the paradigm is, the more junk you've got, in other words, in your subconscious mind. And therefore the want starts to fade away. And you start to believe this nonsense that you must have money to make money, or that you must have the right connections, or the higher the risk, the higher the growth, or that money doesn't grow on trees, all that negative stuff, or that you can't build great relationships, or that you can't control your body weight, or whatever you want to believe that is part of your paradigm that is keeping you from becoming the best you that you can be. Because when you were born, everything that you needed to make all your wants come true, all your dreams come true, was given to you already. It's basically programmed within your DNA. But then we are getting clouded and pulled down by our own paradigms. And people are not teaching this. And therefore, I really want you to start thinking. And maybe in the comment section, tell me, what are you going to do about your life and about your paradigms? And what paradigms and belief systems do you have that is busy keeping you from what you can and must achieve in life? So how do we go from wants to get you in a position where you can move forward? You need to set the intent. And this is what this book is about. That symbol is a symbol for intent. It's got a huge meaning, and it's 100% energetic. And this is also why, if you join the webinar, I will give you, or the master classes, I will give this to you for free. Otherwise, of course, you can order that and pay for that. And that is your power goal. But there's a process to set it in the right way. It's scientific. So success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal or a worthy ideal, according to Earl Nightingale. But to become successful, I need to get the right information, the right order for the level of the game that I'm at. And then I have to apply it in order to see the results. Because the results will show my attitude, what I think, feel, and act on. That is going to give me the results. And my results shows my attitude. I hope that you see how simple this process is. Because your intent is going to give you a vibration. And anything that does not line up with that vibration, you reject. Because everything that vibrates at that vibration is going to give you the results that you want. My friend, this is incredible, incredible news. When I discovered this many, many years ago, I wanted to try to convert the whole world, and no one wanted to listen to me. They thought that I was mad. In fact, people still think that I'm crazy and that it's impossible to turn 100 Rand into... You read the stories on Facebook and YouTube, the comments that they're making. But I feel for those people, because those people are robbing them from one of the greatest learning experiences ever in their life by rejecting the truth. And my job, my moral obligation towards you. When Tanya, my wife, told me in 2002 and said, Honest, you can't do nothing because I retired at 37, being financial free. And she said to me, Honest, you can't do nothing. You have to share this information with the world. I never wanted to be a mentor. I never wanted to teach. I thought that I can just sit there and enjoy the rest of my life. But you know what? It's not working that way, because as soon as I started to teach, as soon as I started the mentoring process, I discovered my purpose. Because why? And basically, all credit is due to Tanya, because she said to me, why do we need to keep on suffering from generation to generation? Show people the shortcut. Show people why it is that we're not getting ahead and what is available and possible by having the right systems and the right mindsets. Right. So I hope that helps a little bit. I basically want to end with success is 5% strategy and 95% mindset. Now, unless you've got the right strategy, the mindset is not going to help you at all. So if you follow the wrong strategy that everyone else is following, you're going to make it very difficult for yourself. Now, if you've got the right strategy, but you haven't got the right mindset, then it's not going to help either, because then you're not going to do that you're supposed to do in order to get the results that you want, right? So the two works hand in hand, and to do that, you need to get the full picture. And this is where we can help you at the Wealth Creators Method. So I want to invite you to a webinar, if you haven't attended that yet, where the 500k Masterclass, where I'm going for 2 hours, educate you and add serious value. And then there will be a time for you to ask me any questions live, and I'm going to stay there till each and every question has been answered. A year ago I started and I said that I'm going to teach. You'll find a playlist. And make sure that you perhaps follow from the first video in this playlist on YouTube. And go through it, because it's going to build and you'll see where it comes from and what has happened over the last year. But my intent for the next year is perhaps on a weekly basis, start with mindset training. It's going to be free of charge on condition that you subscribe. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon or ping that bell icon, and then follow me. That is if you want to, right? But I'm going to focus for the next year heavily on success, on the mindset part, because the strategy is easy. And you can join the Wealth Creators strategy or the Wealth Creators Method to learn everything about that. And we do dive a lot deeper into the mindsets than what I'm going to do. But I think I've got an outline that I can follow by using this tick figure that we've learned today about to take you through the process. So if this makes sense to you, give me a comment, give me feedback. And also, I would love it if you share this. If you've got questions, please let me know. I'm coming back to these videos on a regular basis, and maybe we can use those questions and incorporate it in the teachings that we are doing. So I want to thank you for your time. I know that your time is valuable, but I want to end with Einstein again and a little quote that I already gave you. And that is that everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality that you want. Unless you know what it is that you want, you will never be able to vibrate at that frequency. And that is the reason why I gave you this. And Einstein continued then and says that, and you cannot help but get that reality. It is impossible, my friend. It is science. There can be no other way. Please join me in this journey if you want, because, my friend, the choice is yours. Thanks for your time.